Welcome back to another pregame edition featuring yours truly, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports. And I'm joined by the good brother, Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk. Please make sure you guys lock in on both channels. We are live on both channels, Pro Fan Talk and Chalk It Up Sports. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the hate. Goes a long way with us, and we appreciate all of it that comes along with the territory, y'all. So make sure y'all stay engaged, smash that like button. This is our third week doing this, and the goal is to keep it going for you guys, right? Me and Marcus, we got together one day, we're just talking, and I'm like, listen, man, I love our chemistry, I love the energy. This is something we got to do regularly, and it became our weekly pregame show to set you guys up, right? So we appreciate y'all for locking in. We know it's early, depending on where you are. Where I'm at, it's 9:34 a.m. Where Marcus is, it's 10:34. Some of you guys are in the mountains where it's 8:34. And some of you guys are on the West Coast where it's 7:34. Man, some of y'all might be in Hawaii or Alaska where you're dealing with a 2 or 3 hour or 4 hour time difference, right? So regardless, man, y'all up with us. We appreciate y'all. And we're not going to disappoint. We're going to give you guys a great show. But again, before you guys get too comfortable, before you take your shoes off, before you go to the fridge and get something to drink, go upstairs and say hi to your grandmother, okay? Go smash that like button. Go make sure you say hi to your auntie and your uncles. They ain't see you in a while. Don't get too comfortable. Don't put your feet up on my table before you take care of business. Smash that like button, y'all. We appreciate y'all. So, your Philadelphia Eagles, Marcus, our Philadelphia Eagles face off against the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome in New Orleans, man. This is a hell of a matchup, right? This matchup looked a lot different before the season started. And now we are where we are. We expected the Philadelphia Eagles to look a little bit differently. I don't think we expected the Saints to be as high octane as they've shown us to be. But give me your first impressions of the New Orleans Saints. I know you've been watching a lot of film, especially this morning. Just give me your overall take on the Saints at face value.
Listen, man, after watching the tape last 2 days, the one thing that I really, really appreciate about the Saints right now is they are running a old school I formation, running back downhill offense. Not a lot of frills. They are lining up in ace. They are lining up in I. They're lining up in strong right and left, and then they mix a little bit of gun in there. But most of the runs that Alvin Kamara has been at an I formation, and I like that. It's not complicated. They're not trying to do too much. It is what it is. We coming downhill. They'll stretch you outside with those zone reads and those zone runs. And the reason I like zone so much is it gives the running back an opportunity to just be a running back. There is no hole. There is no, 2, 4, and 6 and, 3, 5, and 7 outside. They get the ball to the running back as deep as possible. He sees what he sees and he makes the adjustment. That's all. And it's that simple. Because they stretch it out so much, forces the linebackers to move, makes the blocking a little bit easier for the offensive lineman, and he can just pick his spots. That's exactly what they did. They came right at you, using the fullback or Taysom Hill, but he's going to be out today. But
so it's official. He's out.
It's not overcome. Yeah, what I just saw, Taysom Hill is out.
Okay, yeah, because last thing I saw earlier this morning was doubtful. Okay, so. Cool. That does change things for them. He's a Swiss Army knife for them. He's a wild card for sure. So yeah, let's stay on the offensive side for the Saints. Back-to-back weeks, they put up north of 40 points. I think they put up over 90 points on the season thus far. They faced off against the Carolina Panthers and they faced off against the Dallas Cowboys, right? Two drastically different opponents. Two opponents who are in two different situations in their franchises. And it's kind of hard. I mean, again, outside of just looking at the film and just looking at what they're doing, it's kind of hard to gauge just how good are they, right? I mean, yes,
that's fair.
To put up those kind of points as consistently as they have, you got to give credit where credit is due. And I am not taking nothing away from that. I don't want any Saints fan, any Eagles fan to think that I'm going to this game sleeping on this opponent, not whatsoever, right? I don't think this opponent can just be had, right? But I think anybody can get touched. I think anybody can get caught lacking, right? This is the NFL. You got to be your best on your best day. You feel what I'm saying? You can't be your best on your, on a previous day or the day. We need you at your best on your best day. So, when you how do you gauge the Saints, right? Again, based on the opponents they played and what they've done to them, right? We consider the Cowboys to be a team that might be in it towards the back end of the season, right? That goes a long way, and they did it on the road.
Yeah.
How are you gauging the Saints? How are you evaluating the Saints through these first 2 weeks?
I'm looking at what is and not what it should be. And right now, what it is the Saints have simplified what they're doing. They have figured out what they do well, and they are doing it, period. They're not getting too complicated. How many times have we been saying, heck, for the last 3 seasons, run the ball with our offensive line? We got arguably the best offensive line in football, but well, how come we don't run the ball like it? Even last year with DeAndre Swift, we should have used him more. We get him; he's explosive. We should have somebody throwing to him from out of the backfield. We never did it. Now we got Saquon, who's just a bigger and as fast and as explosive as DeAndre Swift, and it's paying dividends. And then we end the game last week like we did and don't run the ball instead of throwing the ball. You know what I mean? So, and I'm saying that to say the Saints are not doing none of that. They know what's working and they're using it. Run it till they stop it. Nobody has been able to stop Alvin Kamara yet. So they keep running them. To me, that's non-flawed logic. We're making it complicated. They aren't. They know what they do. They're doing it well. The defense, in my opinion, has some chinks in the armor. But
it's easy to play defense when your offense is putting points on like that.
There you go. When your offense is doing their job, the defense is not. They got chinks in the armor, but they're not playing bad by no stretch. And you know what? Not for nothing. The Saints know how to tackle. We still figuring that out again. And this goes all the way back to what did the Saints do in camp? I bet they was putting people on the ground. What was Detroit doing in camp? I bet they were putting people on the ground. We practicing for an hour and a half. Nobody goes to the ground, and it looks like we've forgotten how to tackle. Again, this is not new. And it always affects us the first 4 games of the season. You already know what, first 3-4 games, just pump your brakes a little bit so you can see what you can see. There is a possibility that the Saints still might come down to earth. They started off hot, and then they kind of cooled off a little bit. But right now, they haven't. And we're the next in the pecking order, and we're going in their house. So our defense better be on point because the Saints are just doing what they do best. They are not trying to reinvent the wheel.
You said something interesting. You said they're just keeping it simple, and we're trying to overcomplicate the game here. And I feel like that's kind of been a narrative for the Philadelphia Eagles over the past couple seasons. It seems like they're just trying to overcomplicate the game. You got one of the best offensive lines. Use it. Lean on it, right? Right now, you got one of the best running backs in the league. Use it. Lean on it, right? Over these past couple weeks from the Philadelphia Eagles, I know you watch a lot of film. On the offensive side of the ball for the Eagles, what have you seen from them that they have done well that they could hang their hat on that they may lean on in this football game against the Saints?
Running off tackle. Even though I don't particularly like it, a lot of their run plays out of gun have been very successful. And that's when you got Big Beckham pulling or Dickerson pulling on the other side. So the interior offensive line, but the offensive line in general has been doing a good job. Don't stop doing that. Keep running Saquon off tackle, stretch it out a little bit. I would like to see more out of pistol, and I would like to see Jalen under center. They teased us with that in week 1, and I don't think we saw it last week. Jalen getting under center. I think we can use that because that with the struggles that Jalen's dealing with right now, we'll get into that a little bit later. I think he would be better under center a little bit more because that might bring the linebackers up or at least make them pay attention for a half second longer. Again, when you stick that arm out there for play action, that's the one thing I saw with the Saints. When they're in that ace formation and Derek Carr drops back and he sticks that arm out there, linebackers got to fly. And the one thing I have forgotten about is a technique thing. If you got a fast running back and he is going to the outside, linebackers have to turn and run. And if you've ever tried to run in one direction and then somebody hits you from that way, you're off balance because your legs are crossing.
Correct.
As opposed to facing the line of scrimmage and shuffling, staying parallel to the line of scrimmage. That's what you're supposed to do. But if you got a 4-2 guy running on the outside, that's not going to cut it. You ain't going to shuffle your way over there. You got to sprint to the ball. But what that does is that sets up your blocks for your offensive lineman a little bit easier. And that gives the running back an opportunity to see, and then maybe you got a cutback. Saquon Barkley's had a couple of really good cutbacks that he almost broke for big yardage. He ended up going for like 10 to 15 yards, but he could have went for 20 or 30 or possibly taking it to the house. So we still have that opportunity. The offensive line is really blocking pretty good. The only thing that we really have to work on is our tight ends are not blocking well at all. That's why they brought Stoll up and put I think it's EJ Jenkins. He's back down the practice squad, I believe. EJ Jenkins did not block well. I mean, if he's not a blocker, throw the ball to him, but do something.
Right.
But yeah, on the whole, our tight ends are not doing a great job blocking. They're doing enough, but it's not good enough, especially when you got Chase Young and Granderson coming in here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to get to the injury report with you as it pertains to the Philadelphia Eagles. For a second straight week, AJ Brown is ruled out with the hamstring. There's a chance C.J. Gardner-Johnson may not suit up. He hasn't practiced in the past couple of days, and he's questionable to play. I don't know if he's been ruled out exactly yet, but everything I see,
he was going to play.
Okay, good. There we go. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson looks like he's active, and then Johnny Wilson, he's healthy. He should be active. Yeah. He should be active as well. And then earlier we mentioned Taysom Hill. May not play. As a matter of fact, you said he's going to be out. And they have other players who are questionable, like Will Harris, A.T. Perry. They're going to be without Kalen Saunders, their D tackle. So offensively, right? We saw this Eagles team with A.J. Brown in week 1. We saw them without A.J. Brown in week 2. How do you expect them to continue to build off of whatever they were able to do without A.J. Brown? Again, we know A.J. Brown is a large part of this offense. We know he demands a ton of attention. But now you're going into a second week without him. This team should begin to establish some things without this man, right? They should be able to be more creative, and we won't see Britton Covey leading the team in targets at one point in the game, right? We're not going to see that, right? We're going to see more opportunities for Jahan Dotson. We're going to see more opportunities for Dallas Goedert, right?
Yeah, and I think Goddard is the key, man. Goddard was the big mistake last week.
Agreed.
There's no way Britton Covey has more targets than Dallas Goedert. That doesn't make sense. I would blame that on Kellen Moore. You gotta understand what type of piece you have with Dallas Goedert, and with AJ Brown not being out, we talked about that last week. We still got 3 legit weapons back there to throw the ball to. Throw it to him. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the situation was with that. I don't know if Jalen was just missing them, or I don't know if he got lost in the sauce. I have no idea. But Dallas Goedert has to be a part of this offense. And again, for Crash Test Covey to get more targets than Dallas Goedert, that's not a good look. And we have to be better than that as an offense. Now, that is something where I know our CEO coach is not responsible for the offense, but that's something as the coach, Kellen, we got to get Dallas involved in this game plan. Let's go. Let's get him the ball, because we do have an opportunity this week with mismatch. Demario Davis is a great linebacker, but he cannot cover Saquon Barkley. And Dallas Goedert, I think, is a good matchup for him because he's a good linebacker, but he can't cover. So we got to make the most of those opportunities. And I'm saying that having just watched about 3 or 4 plays when they played Dallas. And the Dallas tight end was getting good yards on him, moving the chains. And I'm like, that's all we need him to do. Maybe eventually he'll pop one and break a tackle and make a 3 to 5 yard gain, 15 to 20. That happens from time to time, but it's not going to happen if you don't get him the ball.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. Somebody that I expect the Saints to key in on. They're going to do everything possible to try to make the Eagles as one-dimensional as possible. Saquon Barkley has definitely been their most explosive offensive player thus far. How do you see the Saints trying to develop a game plan to deal with Saquon Barkley? Do you see them selling out and forcing Jalen Hurts to beat them in the air, especially knowing they ain't got A.J. Brown? How do you expect the Saints to deal with the Philadelphia Eagles offense, knowing that they could put points on you too?
Exactly like that. Look at what they did with Dallas. Clearly, they were showing putting some extra pressure on CeeDee Lamb. Mm-hmm. He got through that one and had that long, I think it was like a 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they did a pretty good job shutting down CeeDee Lamb. Who else do they have to go to? That little running back that they have, they were shutting him down. He didn't really get much. So they did a pretty good job, and I would expect them to do the same thing. Look at the tape of what Atlanta did. Devontae Smith is going to get his, but Devontae Smith didn't take off. He didn't pop the top off like we know him to be. Right. But I'm blaming that on Jalen. I'm not putting that on Devontae.
Break it down.
We got to scheme him in. One of the things I looked at, I actually did a video of this study and tape. Jalen is leaving the pocket a little bit too early. He's bailing. There was a situation on goal line, and there was a situation on our side of the field when we had the ball. I want to say third quarter.
I think you said this sometime yesterday. I think when I was live, you said this yesterday. I think.
Yeah.
He's leaving about a second too soon.
A second too early, and what I mean is, like, for instance, the one play on the goal line, he slides to gun formation. He takes a small 3-step drop, so he's taking a 3-step drop, and he's already about 7 to 8 yards deep. And immediately he takes off to the right. I believe that was the one where he tried to hit Dallas Goedert, and he fell down. Dallas got a hand on it, but he fell down, and it was an incomplete pass. Well, there was nothing wrong with the pocket. All he had to do was take one step to the right. He could have still been in the pocket because the offensive line had the pocket solid. Everybody was shifting to the right, and the pocket was to his left. So our offensive line pushed everybody to the left, not the right, excuse me. But the pocket was sound. All he had to do was take one step to the right. And I believe it was Devontae Smith that was on a corner route on the left side that would have popped open. But because he immediately took off to the right, he didn't see it. And I'm like, one more second, because you always have the option to take off, and they got to chase you, and that builds up respect that's going to pay dividends later on in the game, because they got to respect that he can take off. So that leaves a little bit of space in the middle, because you got to force the linebackers to make a decision. But in a couple of situations where he took off too early. He could have stayed in the pocket. Nothing was collapsing on him. He could have just stayed in the pocket for just another extra count, and he could have seen something that popped open. Even on the interception, the throw was to Britton Covey, not to Devontae Smith. Or I believe he could have tucked it in, ran straight up the middle, and got about 10 to 15 yards. Just to keep the chains moving, because we didn't need that much to put Elliott in field goal range. So it's different things like that we got to get better at. He's got to get better at, because now defenses know that he'll leave the pocket early, so they're going to play to that strength. And what do they always do? They try to force him to run to the right side, because that's where he has the most turnover. So now you playing the analytics and the stats. If we can force him out to the right, we got a better chance that he'll make an errant throw or try to throw across his body, and maybe we can make a play on defense. Now you playing the odds.
And listen, you get 2 interceptions out of that, or interception out of that could change the game. I mean, if you stick with it long enough, you'll force him to make a mistake, like you said. Staying on Jalen Hurts, right? 2 weeks in, going into the season, he had things about his game that people wanted to criticize and people wanted to elaborate on, and rightfully so, right? Handling the blitz, and some people doubted his ability to read the defenses and go through his progressions. And even you mentioned one of his quirks about him bailing the pocket just a little too soon. I tend to agree with that. I definitely agree. Jalen Hurts definitely has to be a little bit more patient in that pocket. Over the past 2 weeks, though, out of all the things that he has been criticized for, or just the things that people have used to describe his game, what have you seen from Jalen Hurts over the past 2 weeks to give you some sort of optimism going forward?
I like that he's comfortable running the ball again. Clearly, we know he wasn't healthy last year. He didn't get healthy to like the last 2 games of the season. He has been a lot better versus the blitz. Getting the ball out, doing what he has to do, and making the right reads in that regard. So there are some pluses, and him getting rid of the ball early could be a factor of that. He knows the blitz is coming, and his legs are a big part of his game. But I think the one thing that we can do better is hit the check down, man. Your check down is named Saquon Barkley. Get him the ball. If it's from a check down and it's a coverage sack and I can get the ball in his hands, that's what I want to do. Just like, look at it like this. When we throw the ball at the end of the game, right? That was the perfect call. Saquon Barkley misses it. What you don't do is throw the ball to leave any possibility that the clock may stop, right? So use that same logic. Give the check down to Saquon Barkley, because the possibility remains that he can make somebody miss. And now you make chicken salad out of chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
He can make some. All it takes is one miss. He's the guy to do it. So if nobody's open and you don't have to run, he's already 3-5 yards down the field. Get him the ball and let him shake that linebacker. Use what you got. There are going to be plenty of times for Jalen Hurts to run, and he's going to continue to make plays with his legs. He's going to continue to surprise him. He's always going to catch some DB that's going to come up and not realize he made a bad business decision because Jalen does squat 650 or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So, but Saquon squats 650 and runs a 4.3 and is 6 foot and is 230. That's the business decision that you want defense to have to deal with. Get him the ball. Check down, screen, pass pattern, doesn't matter. Just get him the ball.
You guys are tuned into your Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk. Yours truly, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports. We appreciate y'all showing mad love to the show. We're going to get to all your super chats. Best believe that. We're not going to overlook those, not one bit. We're going to read through those towards the back end of the show. But we just want to make sure we give you guys a cohesive show. We don't want to stop every time to read the comments. But we do appreciate you guys for locking in the way you guys have. Give special shout outs to my man War, Michael McClain, Penn 9617, Twiz Jigga, Lord Vaughn, Anthony Kroback, CZ, Crawley. It goes on and on, man. We appreciate y'all. Lou Branch, Kevin the PRF. Thank you.
Kev is my guy. Appreciate you, Kev.
We appreciate y'all. Flexing and Stepping, Eagles fan with a P. We really do appreciate y'all for locking in on the show. It goes a long way with us. Aussie Johnny, thank y'all. So I want to get to the defensive side of the ball.
Real quick.
Yes.
Shout out to Aussie Johnny because he is in Australia.
Hey, shout out to the Aussie.
We're international up in here.
For sure. Yo, we definitely get a lot of international people in here, man. I had people from Brazil, Australia, England, New Zealand before, Hawaii, Alaska. It's been pretty dope, man. Pretty dope. So yeah, we appreciate y'all for liking on the content. It goes a long way. Make sure you guys hit that like button on both channels. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels, Pro Fan Talk and Chalk It Up Sports. We appreciate you guys. So I want to get back to the defensive side for the Philadelphia Eagles because that's where this game is going to be won and lost for the Eagles, at least. We know they can put up points. We know the offense is going to move the ball, right, and be in position to put points on the board. Whether they finish, it's a different conversation. But we know they're going to be able to put points on the board. Defensively, not much to hang their hat on, yet they have been pretty solid, very solid actually in the red zone. One of the better teams in the red zone, holding teams to field goals. And one would argue that in that Atlanta Falcons game, holding the Falcons to 22 points, regardless of what happened in between, holding them to 22 points should be a win. And your offense should be able to put up more points than that. Evidently, that wasn't the case. Give me your perspective on this Eagles defense, what they're in store for with the Saints. Where do you see the Saints taking the biggest advantage against the Philadelphia Eagles defense if they can?
I think they're going to go right at them and try to establish the line of scrimmage. Like I said, they run a lot of strong and I formation. So you got 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. You got the offensive line plus your tight end on one side or the other. And they coming right at you. They're going to stretch you out to spread it out a little bit. So that way Kamara can pick his spots. He might hit off tackle or he might cut it all the way back. It depends on what's going on, and it depends on how we play as a defense. Look for Nakobe Dean to have a game today, because Nakobe Dean has been much better against the run than he has against the pass. So this will be a good game to really gauge where Nakobe Dean is. Nakobe Dean has made some plays, and Nakobe Dean has some hustle plays. But what I think they're going to end up doing is I think they're going to end up attacking Bryce Huff, because he's shown to be a non-factor. And he has been having trouble setting the edge. He definitely did the first 2 weeks. He definitely did last week. Woof, it was ugly. So Sweat has been a little bit better, but he hasn't really made much noise. He's had a couple of pressures, but I'm nitpicking with him because he has been in a couple of plays, but the situation with Huff has been very ugly. I expected more out of him. I know we looking at the money, and that's just the way it is. That's the nature of the business. You got paid the money, so we have expectations for you, and it looked horrible last week. And if I'm the Saints, I'm looking at Bryce Huff.
That's the first thing you see on film. If I'm watching that defensive line, that's the first thing I'm seeing. If I'm watching that defense, the first thing I'm noticing is just how weak they've been in containing the run on the edge.
Yeah,
because I've been seeing some things, and I'm looking at Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. They don't seem like the worst of their issue on that D-line in terms of run defense. I'm seeing Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter holding the line, shifting, and then I see these running backs break off the edge, or one of the guys on the edge just can't keep containment, whatever it may be. I mean, and you mentioned the zone run scheme that the Saints love so much. This is going to be a huge test for Bryce Huff, a huge test for that defensive line, man. I mean,
yeah.
Do you see them? Because I spoke about this yesterday, and I don't know if you heard it or not, or if you watched the whole show, but my theme for yesterday's show was shaking something up, shaking things up.
Yeah.
And I look at the Eagles defense, and I've been more impressed with the DBs and the linebackers than I had the D-line. I didn't really expect that.
Yeah.
I thought the linebackers would be the last group to show me something. And lo and behold, linebackers have been pretty okay. DBs solid. Have been pretty okay, right? Do you see Vic Fangio doing anything to shake up this front seven, knowing what we know and knowing what the opponents know? Back-to-back weeks, you've given up over 150 rushing yards. Back-to-back weeks, you have not been able to rush the passer. You can't stop the run. You can't rush the passer. Something like this, you don't want it to trickle down deep into the season. You got to make an adjustment early with something like this, right?
Right. You do.
What do you anticipate Fangio doing to supplement what they're lacking there? Do you see some depth chart shakeups? Do you see Devin White finally getting some tick? Jalen Hunt being thrown into the mix to kind of shake things up on the edge, to kind of put some pressure on guys. What do you expect Fangio to do, maybe personnel wise? Do you see any changes coming?
Yeah, and you missing the obvious. Thomas Booker. Thomas Booker was the standout.
I love Thomas Booker. He
didn't get a lot of snaps.
Dog, he had 9 snaps, I think, in that Atlanta game, and he
got 3 solos.
He had more tackles, more solo tackles than all of them combined. He had 2 TFLs.
Yes. So now we're going to see because Vic Fangio said it. He said it in his press conference when they asking him, what does some people have to do? You got to play better. Well, Thomas Booker showed that he could play. So to me, that means you got to get that dude more snaps, because he was the only one. Nolan Smith is on the clock. Big Jordan Davis is on the clock. Jordan Davis has shown flashes, but his consistency is still not there. So he's on the clock. But even with Jordan Davis, we talked about this weeks ago. Jordan Davis is not going to be the guy to get a lot of tackles. Jordan Davis is going to be the guy that's going to take a double team so somebody else can eat.
He'll dictate the action, and whatever happens on that play, they got to pick up the scraps, basically.
Correct. So what I want to see is, because Jalen Carter can still move the crowd, he can still move that tackle, and he still requires a game plan. Nobody's looking at Thomas Booker yet. He doesn't have enough play time, but we've seen what he can do. So I want to see Jalen Carter and Thomas Booker. Thomas Booker is going to take Jordan Davis's snaps. At least that's how I see it should be. Josh Sweat is not going anywhere. Nolan Smith, you on the clock. You haven't been showing anything. No, you're not as bad as Bryce Huff, but You've been awfully quiet. So you got this week and next week, because after week 4, school's out. And I'm looking at Vic Fangio. I was like, you set the precedent about the best guys being on the field. If Devin White is one of the best players on the field, damn it, I don't care what happened. Get him on the field. And that thing is still bothering me, because the only thing I can think of with Devin White, and again, this is me guessing.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I can think of, it must have been a conversation or something in a film session where maybe Fangio said something that Devin White didn't like it and maybe got into a verbal thing, because it makes no sense for him not to be playing and not to be getting more snaps. That's the only thing I can think of. It had to be something, maybe a personal thing. I don't know. But we need, if it needs to be Nakobe and Devin White, make that move. It's too much. We ain't got time for this nonsense. Or get him out of here.
What I would do is, I hear you on that, right? Because I feel like Devin White, for him to be a healthy scratch last week was like, what? Like a healthy scratch? Like he not even suiting up. That threw me off. But if I'm Vic Fangio, man, I'm shaking that front seven up. I'm giving Devin White on that field to try to wreak havoc. And then I'm shifting Zach Bond down to a pass rusher role, maybe because he has that kind of ability. He's athletic like that. I'm taking snaps away from Bryce Huff.
Yeah, but honestly, I went back and looked at some film at Zach Bond on the edge. He was all right.
I think he's better when he's a blitzer, not necessarily just coming right off the edge, right?
Agreed. But if he's got his hand in his dirt, or if you need him to set the edge, based on what I've seen, he was just all right.
Was he better than Bryce Huff?
Yeah, but not by much. Not by much.
Not by much. Right.
Not by much.
I feel you. So where does Jalen Hunt fit in this situation, right? I mean, you said Nolan Smith, you're on the clock, bro. Does Jalen Hunt start to encroach on snaps for Nolan Smith in this game? I mean, do we have a Jalen Hunt signing? Yeah, signing. He hasn't played in the first 2 games.
Right. So here's the thing. If you put him in and he does nothing, you haven't advanced and you haven't lost any ground.
Right.
So let's at least see what he can do. And also let's give Vic Fangio a little bit of time, because they haven't opened up the whole playbook yet. There's some stunts and some coverages and some things that we haven't seen yet, and maybe that'll pay dividends. So it is still early and we still have a small sample size. So it is very easy to get overzealous on your criticism. And I'm guilty of that too, just some of the stuff that I've watched film. But it's a lot of football to play. We got 15 weeks left. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that can happen. So it doesn't look great, but it's only game 2. So let's see what happens this game.
I'm glad you said that.
Let's see, I'm giving it this game this week and next week. Because after week 4, you've seen everything you need to see. All teams have tape on you. They know what you do. They know your tendencies, your tells, your patterns, all of that type of stuff. So now we can really see what we're going to do. So we still have time to make some things happen. But to your point, I do want to see something from Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt. Put the kid in there. Let's see what he got.
Yeah, because to your point, 1-1, only been 2 weeks thus far. We're in week 3 now. So much football left to really get into, right? I mean, there are teams that we fully expect to be in it to win it in the back end of the season. They're 1-1. They're 0-2 right now, right? So
and we are a drop pass from not having this conversation.
And we're a drop pass from not even having this conversation. So it's, as much as we can crucify this team in so many ways based off of that Atlanta Falcons game and how some of that stuff can follow you into this game against the Saints, when you look at it from 10,000 feet away, you say, okay, we're only entering week 3, got 15 games left. Woosah, right? Like you said, it is easy to jump out the window, but at the same token, in the same breath, there are certain issues that you do see that can become long-term issues if you don't address them. Hence why I said at this point, right, with your run defense being as bad as they are, with your pass rush being as bad as it is, what do you got to lose to shake something up?
Exactly. And you've seen enough from some of the people, obviously Thomas Booker. Like I said, Nakobe Dean has been okay in coverage. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been terrible. But I like Nakobe Dean's hustle. I've seen Nakobe Dean make some plays blitz the quarterback, didn't get the blitz, and then come back and get in the play and make the tackle. I'm not seeing that type of hustle out of Bryce Huff. I've seen when you watch him last year in New York, I saw that. So I'm like, what's the disconnect? So he had to show something because I know how he watched film before they signed him. So he had to show you something, just whatever that something is. We haven't seen it yet. So we got to get it. He's got to get it together. He's got to play much better because I liked his comment. When somebody asked him a question in the locker room, he owned up to it. He's watched the tapes, and I'm guessing that film session for him was not very nice. So those are the things that force you to get better because, it's one thing when you on the field and maybe the crowd is jabbing you and sending the boo birds your way. But let me tell you something. When you had a bad game and you go in that film session with all your teammates, and every time you do something stupid, everybody turning around looking at you, that's a whole nother level right there. Because when you make a bad play, coach is running that joker back about 8-10 times.
Marcus, I'm glad you said that. Marcus, I'm so glad you said that because right after that Falcons game, when the news broke that Jalen Hurts spoke to the team and the coaches didn't say much or Nick Sirianni didn't say anything at all, you saw people jumping out the window crucifying Nick Sirianni for not adjusting his team in that moment after that game. And my question is, what did you expect him to say in that moment, right? But what do you honestly expect this grown man to say to the rest of this room full of grown ass men after they know they lost that game, right? You've been in these locker rooms before.
Yes.
You've experienced the highs and lows of an NFL season. I want to get your perspective on how those situations are handled because, again, my perspective was whatever he has to say, best believe it's going to be brought up in that film room. Like the post game is not the time. And again, I'm a layman. I'm on the outside looking in. I'm just guessing. If you ask me, post game is not the time to start speaking about what went wrong or went right. Let's shower. Let's get cleaned up. Let's take care of our obligations. Let's go home. Film study. See y'all Monday. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So take me into the locker room. Take me into the process of these coaches when it comes to post game, be it after a win or after a loss. Matter of fact, let's take it a step further. This Eagles team right now, as they're currently built, top to bottom, everything they've experienced, everything they have experienced over these past two games, if you're Nick Sirianni, if you're Kellen Moore, if you're Vic Fangio, what's the communication like in those film rooms, in the film room with these players, knowing what we know?
Well, first, the situation in the locker room. Would it have been different instead of Jalen Hurts if it would have been Jason Kelce last year? Because I'm sure that happened. Would it have been any different if it was Fletch? Because I'm sure that's happened. In some situations, and this is a situation where if you've never been in the locker room, you just can't understand it. Sometimes, or let me make it plain. When you was growing up and your mom told you, wait till your dad get home. And if your dad ring you out, or let's say it was your mom that rings you out, dad ain't gonna say, and one more thing. Mom's not going to say, and one more thing, after somebody just done gave you the business. So in my interpretation is Nick Sirianni did exactly what he was supposed to do. He read the room. And whatever Jalen said had to be impactful enough to where Nick Sirianni was like, all right, see you on film or see you in film at NovaCare. Because sometimes there's nothing else that can be said. If you say anything else, you just regurgitating what was already said and you lessening the impact. And it is much more impactful and meaningful if it comes from one of your teammates. Sometimes coaches know what they have to say. And let's not forget, Nick Sirianni is one of those coaches that has good relationships with almost everybody in that locker room. That's the one thing he is good at, and you can't deny that. So if he says, I didn't think there was anything else for me to say, I believe it. Because for all of that stuff that people talk about, Jalen's not boisterous enough and he's got to be more of a leader. There you go.
Right. Why take it from him?
And sometimes, exactly. Don't say nothing else. I'm sure he said what he had to say, broke it down, and we gonna get better. Whatever the conversation was. If there was something else that needed to be said, he would have said it. But in that situation, I am positive that conversation or whatever he said wasn't very nice. So it's like, oh, there you go. You got it right there. Let's go. Move on to the next one. So, wow. And as far as what happens in the film sessions, that kind of leans into the personalities that you have on your team. You got some guys, you might have somebody in your meeting room that's a joker, and every time you make a play, he gonna clown on you. And you got that one serious dude that's gonna let you know and run it back 3 or 4 times and be a stickler to technique. And you're supposed to take, you got to make your first step quicker, and just the little things that most people don't really recognize watching the game on television. So there's a lot of that. But when you make mistakes on film, they're gonna run that back ad nauseum. If you make a great play, they might show it twice. You make a mistake, run it back. What did you do right here? Run it back. What'd you do right here? And then the guy next to you, what could you have done to make this situation better? Maybe the guy that made the mistake, maybe it wasn't his fault. Maybe he got a bad call from the end or the tackle, or something could have broken down that, it's a domino effect. It's not always one person. So those are the things that get ironed out. The communication, what you're seeing. He's on the interior. He doesn't know that somebody went in motion. Talk to each other. That's why it's so important. You got them green dots back there. So a lot of times it falls on the linebackers. You've seen the linebackers walk up to the line of scrimmage, smack a defensive tackle on the butt, move over, stuff like that. The linebackers are the quarterbacks. So there's a lot that goes into that. But when you make mistakes and you constantly making mistakes, I am positive that Bryce Huff in that film session, I am sure they was giving him the side eye.
Because I was going to ask you. I was literally about to ask you, based on what we've seen from this defense these past 2 weeks, right? In particular, the Atlanta Falcons game, right? What do you think those film sessions were like, at least for the defensive line? What do you think? What do you think Clint Hurt was talking about in those rooms?
Not good. Clint Hurt was probably over there because you got to remember it's dark. It's in the room. So you got the coach usually up on the podium. He's looking at everybody. He's looking this way. Clint Hurt was probably doing a lot of this. Shaking his head.
Wow.
Because I know he's a good coach, and I know that's not what he's teaching them. That's the thing. Where did you learn this? This is not what we teaching you in practice.
Wait, stop there real quick. I'm sorry, Marcus. How much time is spent on unlearning versus learning? Because I think what we're saying here, I'm glad you said something real key. I didn't teach them that, or I know for a fact he didn't teach them that. He's a good coach. Let's peel back the layers with that a little bit, right? How much time do these new coaches, especially at the beginning of a season, right? How much time are they spending How much time are they spending with these guys in terms of unlearning bad habits from the previous regime, in comparison to trying to get them to take on the new identity, the new approach with the latest regime?
I look at it like this. You don't unlearn something. You get comfortable with what's new. And if you get comfortable with what's new and you start having success with what's new, you will continue to do that, because at the end of the day, you want to be successful. If you a defensive edge and you started out with your hand on the ground and you couldn't sniff the quarterback, then all of a sudden the coach tells you, hey, stay up on 2 and then go like you in the runner stance and then just go at the snap of the ball. And then the next game you get, 3 hurries and a solo. Well, okay, which option gave me the most success? I was up, I wasn't down, so let me do this more. So basically, it's just the things that you don't unlearn. You know what you know. It's just like basketball. If you right-handed, you got to practice with your left. You're not going to unlearn. You can practice with your left hand all summer long, and the minute you go back to your right, it's old hat. But didn't go anywhere.
But there is such thing as unlearning bad habits, right?
Again, no. You just get comfortable. You don't unlearn them. You just forget about them. Bad habits happen when you get tired. Bad habits happen when you get tired. A good example is you watch somebody there. You watch track runners, right? People that run the 200, people that run the 400. And when they come in that last 150, and people are tight and the shoulders get tight. And what do they teach you when you're running? Your shoulders got to be down. Your shoulders got to be relaxed. You got to pump your arms and all of that kind of stuff. But the more fatigued you get, you get back into your bad habits and you strengthen it and you squeeze in and you trying to get every last ounce, and your body tends to go back to what was comfortable for you, but it might not necessarily be what works.
Wow.
So it's not unlearning it, because your body will always go back to it when it gets tired, because it takes mental fortitude to do the right thing if it's uncomfortable. But you get comfortable with the success, you know what works and what doesn't. And you want to do what works, even if it's uncomfortable, and you just get comfortable learning it. So you don't unlearn what you used to do. You're just doing something different, and you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And then the new thing becomes the default. That's what you want to do. Very difficult to unlearn stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? And we appreciate you guys for locking in on the content for as long as you guys have. We have over 180 people tuned into the live stream. We appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. We really do appreciate the love, and the support goes a long way. We are live on 2 platforms. We are live, actually more than 2, but we are live on 2 YouTube channels. Pro Fan Talk, featuring, as you can see here, Coach Marcus, man. His football acumen is insane. Go lock in with him. Go subscribe to his show. Go subscribe to his content, Pro Fan Talk, and follow him on Twitter. Make sure you guys subscribe to me as well at Chalk It Up Sports. My name is Tone DeShields II. I appreciate the love and the support, man. This show has been really fun. Before we get out of here, I definitely want to get into the super chats with you. But before we even do that, I want to get into some keys to the game, right? Some advantages and disadvantages. What do you think? By your estimation, what are the keys to the game for the Eagles, offensively and defensively? And then I want you to counteract that with what you believe the keys to the game would be for the Saints, offensively and defensively. How do you see these two teams trying to take advantage of their opponent and win this game?
For the Saints, all they got to do is keep doing what they've been doing. The Saints have been masterful at run it till they stop it, and nobody's been able to stop it. I don't think the Saints' offensive line is great. They're not all world beaters, but they have found a formula that works, and they're sticking to it. That's what you do. You go with what works. And when we talked earlier about not making it complicated, they figured out what is working for them. They know what their weaknesses are, and they are not dealing with it. They're running the ball well. They're running the ball at a tight, strong, and ace formation. So you got maximum number of people on the offensive line. Maybe they'll go a twins left or a twins right, but they're still keeping tight ends. They're doing basic stuff, and it's working because all of these defenses are coming out in nickel with 2 linebackers, and that works to your advantage when you in strong formation or an I formation. That works to your advantage. So I think, again, the Saints are not making complicated and just doing the same thing that they've been doing. As far as the Eagles, the big test on the Eagles defense is going to be linebacker play. Like I said earlier, I think Nakobe Dean has to have a great game because they are going to try to run the ball on him. I'm not a big fan of Derek Carr. I don't think he's all of a sudden an all-world quarterback, but he is taking what the defense gives him. Again, not making it complicated. And it's making him look like a much better quarterback than possibly he is. Is he a game manager? Is all of those titles that they give these quarterbacks and Brock Purdy and people like that, what does a game manager mean? You drop back and you take what the defense gives you. If the defense is giving you the run game, then you run the ball 30 or 40 times a game. So be it. So Derek Carr is swallowing his pride. He's not trying to throw for 500 yards every game. He's looking at what the defense gives him. They handing the ball off, and it's working. He's going for the win, not stats. So props to the Saints for doing that. The Eagles defense just got to learn how to tackle, and they got to figure out how to set the edge and keep the running game inside. Because our linebackers, Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond, has been doing a good enough job, and Thomas Booker has been doing a good enough job to where they can make some things happen. They just got to build onto that more. So you're not gonna know it until you see it. So let's hope we see it today.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, last week when the Saints faced off against the Cowboys, they passed the ball 16 times and ran the ball 39 times. That tells you right then and there, they are not literally trying to overcomplicate this thing. If it's working, we sticking to it. If our quarterback only throws the ball 10 times, hey, so be it. If our quarterback throws the ball 20 times, so be it. They're literally protecting Derek Carr in such a beautiful way. And he's been delivering at the end of the day. He's been taking advantage of play action, all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
What's going to be really interesting to see about the Saints is who are they when they can't run the ball. That's going to be. I think that's going to show exactly who they are, right? Because we've seen
can we get them there?
Exactly. And we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles in various situations when one thing can't work. So far through these first 2 games, we've seen that on offense. When this isn't working, what can they do? Okay, you don't have AJ Brown. How do you? There are a few teams who are facing their fair share of adversity pretty early. The Saints haven't faced their piece of adversity yet. I think that will come at some point in the season. Will it be today? Who knows? I'm not sure. Did you say your Eagles keys to the game? Because I know you started with the Saints.
The Eagles keys to the game is on defense. We got to keep Kamara inside. Yes. Don't let him get outside, and our linebacker play has to be stellar because they are going to run the ball.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying Nakobe Dean's has got to have a game today.
Got you.
On offense, do what you've been doing. Jalen, stay in the pocket a little bit longer and check down. And then, like we mentioned very early in the show, Dallas got to get him the ball.
Do you see the Eagles? Do you see the Eagles real quick? Do you see them trying to? I don't know if the term is shorten the game or speak. Yeah, short. Do you see them trying to shorten the game? And what I mean is like trying to kind of adopt a similar philosophy the way the Falcons came into Lincoln Financial Field, right? Limit possessions, run the ball, be physical, keep this game in the 20s, and get a key stop. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Think about it like this. Obviously, we've just been talking about it for the last hour. What the problem is our run defense.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep the run defense off the field? Control the clock. How do you control the clock? Run the ball. It's that simple.
Simple as that.
So we're going to have to feed Saquon. Get Dallas got it, and I want to see a screen game. Tight end screens.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a screen game with the running back yet. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at that.
Nope. Haven't seen it for the last 3 years.
Yeah, and it's early still. And it's early still, but I think Saquon is a player that I would love to get involved in the screen game. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. But I know he's got it in his playbook because Dallas did it to us enough times.
Mm-hmm.
So still early. So like I said, I know the whole playbook is not open yet,
mm-hmm.
but I think we'll be okay because honestly, I was thinking, what would be my score for the game? And I was thinking the Saints are going to win this. And then they got to stop. Because what did I say earlier? We would not be having this conversation if Saquon Barkley catches that ball.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just, hypothetically, let's go into the Wayback Machine. And let's say he catches the ball, or at the very least, we run the ball instead, run out the clock, and we get that dub. Are we going in here thinking that the Saints are going to beat us? If Saquon catches that ball, are we thinking the Saints are going to beat us?
It's a good question. I'm going into it still believing it's a tough matchup because of what they've been doing. But
right. Absolutely.
But just to bear the lead here, I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning this game 27-24. I don't go into any game thinking the Eagles can't win it. That's just me personally, right? I look at this team top to bottom and I say, they can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. So I got the Eagles winning this game 27-24. That's my score prediction. What's yours?
I got 27-20 Eagles. I think this week, if we get in the situation, Nick Sirianni is going to take the points. We're not going to do what we did last week. Chalk that up as a lesson learned. So it's going to be 27-20, but we're going to have probably 2 field goals.
Do you think there's ever a time to not take the points?
Yes. But you have to be in a situation where you have been unstoppable.
A field goal won't help you, right? A field goal won't help you.
No, well, that to me, that's an obvious situation. So I'm taking that off the table.
Right.
I'm looking at the situation.
First half, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, it's 4th down and 3, and you're on the 12-yard line. Take the points. Why would you try to go for it? Well, if you've been running the ball and averaging 5 yards a carry, then you go for it. I don't mind that, especially if it's early in the game, but that comes with a level of confidence in your defense to stop the other offense. And I don't think we have that.
They've been showing it, though. They've been going for on 4th down in that red zone. They've been showing confidence in that defense in little ways than one. Man, oh, man. Yeah. It's going to be a fun game, though. It's going to be a fun game. Let's get to the super chats real quick, and then we're getting out of here, Marcus. Once again, I always appreciate you, big dog, man. You bring so much insight to the game. You make it easy for me, man. I just lean on you, ask you questions, and then we go from there. Pin 9617 with the $1.99 super chat. He said, "What's up, Tone? I feel a win today." Yeah, I feel you, man. I got us winning 27-24. Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk got it 27-20, man. That's gonna be it. Hey, I hope so. Thank you again, Pin. Michael McLean, OG Triple OG with the $2 super chat. He says Eagles win 34-14. Mitchell with a pick 6.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Hey, listen.
Yeah, Mitchell. He missed one last week.
He be coming close, man. He be closest. Last week, I thought he had one.
And again,
he had it. He did.
And again, let's go back to what we said. Like, the defense didn't play that bad. So that's 2 weeks in a row. Against the Packers, Nakobe Dean drops a pick 6. Last week against the Falcons, Quinyon Mitchell drops a pick 6.
You gotta
capitalize. If he catches that, he's gone.
You gotta capitalize off of that.
So there's some pluses on our defense.
Yeah, there are some pluses for sure. I definitely give you that for sure. Thank you, Michael McLean. We appreciate the love, my man.
Appreciate it, Mike.
War, what's going on, big dog? He says, Stoll activated, sound like we be running and playing ball control. And we spoke about that, right? The fact that this Eagles team, you want to shorten the game. You don't want to give them too many opportunities to run it up on you, right? You want to limit their possessions, and you want to make them work for it at the end of the day. Make them go the whole length of the field if that's what it takes. And then if they end up only 3 points out of it, that's a win for you. That's a win for your defense, in my humble opinion. This Eagles defense still has to prove they can get teams off the field between the 20s. But if they do go the whole field on you and you hold them to 3 points, that's a win. Now, what I'll say to that is your defense. I mean, your offense has to hold the ball for a long enough time, because you can't be playing bend but don't break, and then your offense can't sustain drives. Now your defense is getting killed. And that was the recipe last year, right? They were playing bend but don't break. Offense couldn't sustain drives because the offensive play calling or just the execution was off, and the defense was blowing their load early in games. This is the part where complementary football has to come in, right? The one thing that was missing in those final few minutes in that football game last week. Your defense got the big stop that you needed. They couldn't stop anything all day, but they finally got that 4th down stop. GJ came in and got the stop. They helped you. Now you got to help them pay it off, and you got to put points on the board and win that game. That defense should never touch that field again. But you put them out there. That's the complete opposite of complementary football.
Facts. Real quick, Tone. Real quick.
Yes.
Just came through on my phone from the Eagles website. Inactive today: AJ Brown, Trevor Keegan, Darian Kennard, Tanner McKee, Eli Ricks, and Devin White.
Again,
and Brian Young, defensive tackle. So AJ Brown, Tanner McKee, Eli Ricks, and Devin White, all inactives.
Wow.
Something's going on with Devin White. He done pissed somebody off.
What's going on?
Don't know.
Like, to be inactive,
dude.
Inactive.
He done said, I firmly agree right now that there had to have been some type of argument or some type of disrespect towards one of the coaches or something like that. This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. None. So it has to be something that happened behind closed doors, and they will never say. But this story is going to watch. We said it first right here. This story is going to pop. This is bubbling. This story is eventually going to pop.
No, it's bubbling for sure. It's
only one to two things. It's a problem. It's a personality problem in the locker room, or maybe how we setting something up for a trade. I don't know. But this story's got legs. This don't make sense. The math ain't mathing, bro.
Yeah, I don't understand that. You mean to tell me you can't find a way to use them at all? That's what's throwing me.
Thank you.
Wow.
And let's not forget, this is a 4-3 linebacker. that had a good camp. There was no indication. I don't give a damn what they say. There was zero indication that all of a sudden Nakobe Dean was out playing Devin White to the point where Devin White would be demoted.
Yeah,
and I'm a Nakobe Dean guy,
but that wasn't the narrative that was percolating off. Something more than just football's going on.
Something stinks, man.
Yeah. Thank you, War, for your $4.99 super chat, brother.
Yeah, man.
And he followed it up with the $9.99. Thank you, War. We appreciate you, big dog. He says, remember last year, Jalen said he hurt his knee in the pocket. That might still be in the back of his head just a tad bit. Maybe that's why he's leaving the pocket a second early.
I don't agree.
I don't know if I roll with that, War. I appreciate you throwing that out there because it's something you have to consider, but I don't know if it's something that I'm rolling with entirely. I just think he got happy feet a little bit. That's all. I think it's simply just that clock runs out of his head a little faster than some people.
Right,
and
because he's had success getting out of the pocket.
Yeah,
he's back to that. And let's not forget, if you're talking about he hurt his knee in his pocket, he almost blew his knee out versus the Rams.
Yo, that run was crazy.
Don't get it twisted.
That was a crazy run because I saw that from the TV copy. The way his body kind of like jerked a little bit when he planted that. What?
My heart dropped. I thought he was done.
That was scary. And he still ran like another 10 yards.
Yep. And he was good after that. So
for sure. Definitely was good after that. Yeah, man. Thank you, War. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your insight, my man. All right. So that's going to do it for today's pregame show, y'all. We really do appreciate y'all. It's going to be a hell of a game.
Tone, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Before we get out of here.
Yes.
I got to let everybody know, Tone, I appreciate the fact that I can say this with you on the mic. Today, I am officially 2 years old. September 22nd, 22 is when I started my YouTube channel.
Wow.
So I'm officially 2 years old today.
Bro, congratulations, man. No, that's fly. Congratulations, brother.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, man.
4,000 subs later, bro.
For sure. Time flies, man, when you putting that work in. You feel what I'm saying? And you
all the way back to the first time you got me on Jacob Media, man.
Bro, you put out great content. Content. I love your insight. I love the way you convey your message and your thoughts. You always bring that perfect balance of the voice of the fan versus the voice of the player, because you've been on both sides of the coin, man. You know how this game works. How can people not respect what you bring to the table? And I just want to make sure I'm on the right side of history, and I'm getting close to you. You feel what I'm saying? I want to make sure, man. Hey, I'm in lockstep with the man, Coach Marcus. Hey, you see him, you see me. So, I appreciate you, brother, man. You do great work, and it's only a matter of time before everybody knows it, and people are already starting to see it. That's one of the reasons why, this show flows the way it flows, right? I always thrive in that moderator question, role, right? And I just want to give you the floor so you can just exercise and share with the people just how much you know about this game. I think that's why this show wins. That's why we're doing so well with this program here, because you have a repertoire that some people just will never be able to have. So I want to make sure people see that. I want to make sure people know that and respect that. And like I said, man, I want to make sure I'm on the right side of history, brother, because you doing great things, man. And this is a relationship that I appreciate. So
grind, man. Grind and grow, brother. Grind and grow.
So congratulations to you again, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And Eagles fans, please, if you're fans of any sports, Eagles, NFL, basketball, WNBA, whatever it is, Coach Marcus got you covered, man. He's covering not only the game in between the lines, he's covering the game off the field, right? He's giving you the business conversation with these industries, right? He's breaking down the WNBA and how it's been growing, and he's doing play-by-plays. He's uncovering your Philadelphia Eagles, doing film breakdowns, right? But tell people, what you've been working on with the film, man. I know that's something recently, something new that you've been doing. Break down how people can find that. Break down where people can find your show, how they can support you, man. Just give people all the information they need so they can be a part of the Pro Fan Talk family.
Yeah, man. Just go to YouTube like you normally do and search Pro Fan Talk. That's it. I got a new segment that I started about a week ago. I call Run It Back, because when you're in film sessions and you want to see something again, you tell the coach, can you run it back? And all I'm doing is watching film. That's it. And first of all, I don't know everything. I know a lot, but there's a lot I don't know. So I never act like I know everything. That's why I'm always studying film. That's why I'm always watching Seth Joyner and Brian Baldinger and Barrett Brooks and Greg Cosell, because always find more than me. So
absolutely,
it's that simple. So check me out, Pro Fan Talk. You can check me out on Twitter and on Threads and all that other kind of stuff on Facebook. I'm there, man. But I'm putting most of my content right here on YouTube. So check it out.
Hey, you heard the man. Make sure y'all go subscribe. Go hit that like button. Make sure that notification bell is hit. As y'all can see, I'm subscribed, man. Like, go lock in on former Eagles running back, Eagle alumni, Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk, man. Go lock in on that content. It's there. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. Please, please, please make sure y'all smash that like button and make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. Like he said, he's giving you guys the film breakdown, as you guys can see. Here's his running back series right here. You can see a bunch of the episodes right here. Go lock in with that, man. He's doing great work, and the content is in full effect, Eagles fans. You're always getting fed. We're always going to take care of our people, always. So, on that note, you guys, we appreciate y'all. That's been our show. That's been our pregame show. Your Philadelphia Eagles will face off against the New Orleans Saints today in the Superdome. Going to be a hell of a game. My score prediction is 27-24. And Marcus, your prediction was
27-20 Eagles.
27-20. So you and I both got the Eagles putting up 27 points. Let's hope that's enough, man. Let's hope that's enough. It's going to be a hell of a game, and I'm excited about it. So smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels. Subscribe to Coach Marcus at Pro Fan Talk. Go subscribe to me, Tone DeShields II, at Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. And we're out here, y'all. Peace out.
Go Birds.